Today on Pro Church Daily, we're talking about how to stay consistent across all of your church's social platforms.
Well, hey there, and welcome to Pro Church Daily, the show where in 10 minutes or less, you're going to get your daily dose of tips and tactics to help your church share the message of Jesus while we navigate the biggest communication shift we've seen in 500 years. I'm your host, Brady Shearer. To my right, your left, is Adam McLaughlin, our special live guest, and today we're talking about how to remain consistent across all of your church's social platforms. Adam, take it away.
Yeah, well, I think it's really important to be consistent across all those channels, both visually and the type of content that we're posting, because consistency builds trust, right? So if somebody visits your Facebook page and you have a different kind of icon than when they visit your Instagram, they're not necessarily making that visual connection between those two channels. And so in their mind, they could be making up that they're seeing two different sets of information, two different brands or two different personalities, whereas the value would be to see that they're seeing your church consistently. And so one of the biggest things that I've seen is somebody will change their profile picture to a poster of an upcoming event.
Right,
or change their profile picture to like a picture of a guest speaker with the date the guest speaker is going to speak. And they're no longer creating that brand consistency with their profile picture, because all of a sudden it's somebody's face, and then next week it's a picture of the kids' pool party.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that also has a misunderstanding of who is going to be visiting your social media pages. Mm-hmm. You know, if you have a person in your church, as you will, following you on Insta, following you on Facebook, they're not going to be going to your Insta profile likely. They're not going to be going to your Facebook page. They're just going to be seeing your content showing up in their feed.
Right.
So not only does changing those type of content places, not only does that lead to inconsistency, but it also, I think, shows a misunderstanding of who your audience is there. And people are making first impressions online. 97% of people search for local organizations using search engines, and your first impression is being made online in, at least on websites, about 0.05 seconds, and you only get one shot at it.
Right.
And so if you show up inconsistent from the get-go, you've already created brand confusion, and in my mind, it's a lot easier for a potential new visitor at that point to just click away, right? Because they haven't made the investment yet, and if it's going to be difficult, why bother?
Yeah, and there's a reason we call our logo a thumbnail. I mean, it is tiny in the space that we have. So be strategic with using your logo. And I saw a church who was choosing to regularly change the color of their logo based on the seasons. And a couple times, the color they changed their logo to looked just like the color of the logo of the church down the road, right? And so there's no distinction there. There's no way to really say, this is the church that I'm following, this is who I'm participating with, this is the information that's coming from that brand, from that organization. The other spot is in the description.
Okay.
I see such a wide variety when you get to put the About section on your Facebook page versus the About section on your Instagram or your Twitter profile. Like, there's really no reason those can't be very similar, if not identical. You know, things like your address, your service times, those are there, your website address, and maybe your mission statement, or that one thing that separates you, that one thing you want to be known for as your church, your hero statement, if you use that context with your website.
I think it's finding the balance, too, between understanding the unique languages and customs of unique mediums, but then the consistent, never-changing narrative and story that you're trying to tell with your church. Because even though we're all trying to accomplish the same thing as churches, helping people to love God, love others, and make disciples, we all have our unique strengths, weaknesses, and ways of doing that. And so, for instance, the way that I'm thinking about how this would apply practically, on Facebook, you could have your bio section, and it could have your mission statement and you know, something that's important to your church, that hero statement, your core narrative. And then on Instagram, you could have the identical text, but with Instagram profiles, it's always fun to use emojis there. And that wouldn't really make sense for Facebook, but that's part of the core Instagram culture. So you could take those same words and then use like arrow down emojis at the end that point to your single link in your bio. And so that's a way of finding the intersection between, okay, I know Instagram is different from Facebook and I'm trying to use each platform natively, But at the same point, my narrative as a church, my aim, what we're trying to accomplish, remains a constant. So how can I then apply that to the unique mediums?
Yeah, and I want to be clear that I'm not suggesting that all three platforms become spaces for identical content. You know, if you check out any of the big brands that you respect, or even like McDonald's, which I respect the brand, even though, you know, I wouldn't necessarily want to be in on the food all the time.
I love McDonald's and eat there all the time. So,
sorry, Brady.
it's all right. I respect the brand of McDonald's and the McNuggets and the double quarter pounders with cheese and the McChickens and the strawberry milkshakes and the Happy Meals that I get for my daughter all the time because I'm a bad father. And I just wanted everyone to know that because I care about authenticity, and I'm not trying to pretend that I don't love McDonald's. I also love Taco Bell, which is considerably worse than McDonald's, especially in Canada. I think of them putting like the sour cream and the cheese on. I always think they have like the sour cream or cheese gun. It's like, and they just like put it on like this gun. Well, I took this in a weird direction. It's the end of the day on a Friday. We're recording this. I apologize, Adam. You were saying you respect the brand of McDonald's.
Well, I respect the brand of McDonald's from a standpoint of consistency.
Right.
You know, their M is always the same shape. It's always the same color, the red that they use.
Golden arches, baby.
Yeah. The red that they use on their cups or on their sign is always the same red. You know, even though it's different medium, like their signs are printed on plastic, obviously their packaging is paper, and they've found a way to make those reds match. And if you go to their social media channels, you're going to see that same red. You're going to see that same M. And even though they'll play with some variations, it's instantly recognizable as McDonald's across any channel. So what I like to do is I like to find a couple brands that are that size, that magnitude, and see what are they doing on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and how are they playing with the consistency but the uniqueness of the medium, right? How do you always know it's McDonald's even though the content may be different on each of those channels? And I think that's an important line for us to find as churches. I think a lot of times we swing one way or the other, where we just take everything and schedule it out across all of our channels all at once.
Yes.
The other thing would be like something completely different is happening on Instagram from what's happening on Facebook. You know, maybe there are two volunteers running that, or someone on staff runs one and a volunteer runs another, and it is just the disparity. I think we really need to find that middle ground if we're going to help people get the next step, which is typically if they're viewing our social media for the first time to find out more about our church, the next step is often to visit the website before they come to our service.
Sure.
So if there's no consistency or it's kind of hit and miss with what they're seeing, it becomes difficult to help them make the connection back to the website, which again needs to tie in stylistically, visually to what's going on social media channels.
And I think if you're listening or watching this episode of Pro Church Daily, you might be saying, Adam, Brady, I know it's important to stay consistent, but you don't understand that when the admin or the associate pastor gets control of Facebook, they just go rogue.
Right.
And so this is where I think something like a style guide can be super helpful, even if it's just really basic. This is the logo. Use this logo. Don't put it on a rock pattern. Don't change it to teal blue because it's National Teal Blue Day in the middle of July. And these are the fonts we use. And this is our color. And this is the hex code, 6 digits. Put it into Canva and don't use a random color.
Yeah, I love Canva for doing a wide variety of things. One of the things I love the most for one of my favorite tools for creating, quotes on the fly or, quick event reminders is WordSwag.
Yeah.
Because you can always apply the same filter, you can always apply the same text format, and it gives it some consistency no matter what you are talking about, what you're phrasing, what kind of background image you use. And so WordSwag is kind of my secret sauce, my go-to tool for creating that consistency across social media channels.
I love it. Ways to stay consistent across all social media channels for your church. Create that consistency so that when new visitors find you, they know, hey, this is the right place to be.
Right.
And that'll do it for this episode of Pro Church Daily. We'll see you next time.
Hey, thanks for watching this episode of Pro Church Daily. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and enable notifications so you never miss another Pro Church Daily.
And don't be shy, hit the like button so we know you enjoyed this video.
Don't be that person that just watches every day. You know who you are. And you never comment. Okay, at least like the video. Hit the like button. Smash it.